words from the Aussie. Some relief there, but I still do think that we're probably going to see the overall move still heading lower for the Aussie US dollar, okay, because of this news. And we've spoken about these employment numbers since um, Monday already, so not going to spend too much time on it at this point. But looking at it, nothing much else. We've spoken about the Euro news, we've spoken about some pound news, the US data tonight. Although there is a slew of data coming out tonight, nothing really going to be pushing prices significantly higher or significantly lower at this point, because these are weekly numbers. These jobless claim numbers are weekly numbers. So although they might be quite significant, going from 840 to 825, going to show that there's a level of joblessness consistency there, probably not going to push prices too much. Focus is still back onto, as we can see here, global lockdown worries. Okay, global lockdown worries, and again, all the trade talk, whether there's a deal on Brexit or not, whether they're going to walk away from the talks because of a no deal scenario. All that put together has seen, back to what we're talking about today, has seen, in terms of the yen and gold, some move towards reserve, some move towards that security. We've seen yen, as you can see here, strengthen, yen firm up a bit. We've seen gold also strengthen a little bit. But is this going to continue overall? I don't actually think it's going to happen. What might happen is, after today, when the news comes out, it's all settled, we might see markets move back a little bit more consistently. We might see a bit better trending scenarios after this news from Brexit, and when the virus scenarios comes into a bit more of a stable situation. So nothing in particular in terms of news to pay attention to, okay, for today. And also for tomorrow, Friday, we got some New Zealand numbers coming out. We spoke about that already on Monday. Nothing much else to pay attention to. Some Eurozone CPI numbers, but we don't pay attention to that too much. US retail sales number could move markets, but it's going to be a little bit too volatile, especially as we approach the end, almost towards the end of the year, where we get a bit of a silly season coming around. And then some consumer sentiment. Those of you who attended a 4-day program, pay attention. You know why you should be paying attention to the consumer sentiment numbers coming from the US. Okay, so with all that said, looking at the charts, this is the gold chart, gold on a daily time frame. The last time I spoke about it, I said that it was possibly going to range within the 1900 to 1850 range, hence this brown line. What happened was it broke above 1900, very quickly came back into it. Okay, so remember when I was just 2 seconds ago said that the move towards reserve, we've seen that happen, that strengthening, that little bit of a move towards reserve. But I feel that if Brexit talks go, not too crazy, we might see money move away from reserve, slightly away from reserve. I still do think that it will hug this 1900 line. I don't think it'll come down to 1850. I think it'll still sit on 1900, very narrow range. But that also, I'll take that away to avoid confusing everyone. That would also mean that we could see it sitting there. And if it does break above 1900, we could see a very strong move upwards towards 2000 if the virus situation gets worse, or if we see everything, getting a bit better, getting a bit more stable, we could see it go from 1900 towards the 1850 level. Okay, but I think that in the medium to longer term, we will see it sitting at the 1900 level, at this exact price range, this line there. So quite straightforward and quite boring for gold, sitting at 1900. Looking at the yen pairs, US yen on a H4 time frame, it's doing the same thing it did 2 weeks ago. All right, it's doing the same. It looks like it's doing the same thing it's done 2 weeks ago. I'll zoom in one so that you don't have to squint too much. So 2 weeks ago, this was currently last week. 2 weeks ago here, big drop hit 105. Pretty much hit 105 flat and bounced up. Okay, the last time we spoke about it, or the last time we spoke about it, we said it's going to come down towards 105 and bounce up. It did exactly that. Look at the brown line. It did exactly that. Bounce up to test 105.80. It tried to test 105.80, broke lower. Right now, I still do think that we could see it go from this point back towards 105.80. Although there is that move towards reserve, although we've seen yesterday that move towards reserve, okay, that move towards reserve here, yen strengthening. At this point now, I see that if the news goes well and everything plays out properly, we could see a 20, 30 pip stop loss, 40 pip take profit. 1:1, not a fantastic trade. Also because this is sitting right in the middle of two of a supply and a resistance, of a supply and a demand zone, or what we call it a support and a resistance zone. Okay, so it's sitting right in the middle. That's why it's a trade that if you do want to jump into the US yen, this would be something that you have to manage quite closely. You could still make money on it, but it'll be something that you want to manage quite closely, because I do think that it could go up, but it might take, it might not go all the way, one, or it might go up and very quickly spike back down again. So jump onto this trade only if you really have nothing else to enter. Make sense so far? Good stuff. Jim is nodding, so that makes sense. Euro yen actually looks like a lot of a better trade than the US yen. Why I say this again, I'll zoom in one more for you. At this point, it's already dropped. Why it's been dropping? Looking at the euro US dollar, same direction, it's been going down, dropping, right? At this point, coming back to the euro yen, it looks like, based on what we've seen, indicators, we've seen the price action, we've seen how it's rejected these levels. If it does go up and break above 123.83, okay, condition number one is it needs to go up and break above 123.83, then I'll be looking at a, let it go a bit higher. Okay, I'll be looking at about 124, a 30-40 pip stop loss for a good 80-90 pip take profit. This will be a very good 1:2 risk reward ratio trade that I'll be looking to jump into. It will take a little bit more time. You're looking at it going maybe 40 pips more upwards. Let the candle close, let it go up at 40 pips before you want to jump into a trade. Make sure that you're not jumping into trades just because of a MACD crossover, just because of any indicators telling you to jump into that. The analysis that we do is not just based on MACD's crossovers. If you did buy at this point because of MACD crossover, hitting that resistance, it could hit that level and turn straight back down again. Okay, so be very wary. It's not just that one step. We go through the whole analysis of looking at the news, looking at the trend, waiting for it to break a resistance, looking at the price action, measuring that risk reward ratio before deciding whether to jump into a trade or not. That's euro yen. Last one, pound yen. Pound yen has gone through a lot of volatility over this week, right? It's hit 137.67. Club members, on Monday, we spoke about this to death, saying that if it failed to break 137.67, it will come down to 135.92. Those are our levels there. So I hope club members, you had jumped into those trades, because that was a very good 120 pips there for you, identified on Monday. I hope you made money on that. At this point, it hit the 135.92. bounce back up. I will not, and I highly recommend that you do not jump into any trade on the pound yen today, because of the potentially high volatility coming from the UK Brexit talk, and also because it is sitting right in the middle or close to the middle of that support and resistance level. Are you going to buy up for maybe 60 pips? No. Are you going to sell down for maybe 80 pips with a stop loss of 80 pips? No, not with those kind of news coming out. I would be a bit hands off ish on the pound yen. I would say let it break 137.67, and then look to buy towards 139.17, or let it break below 135.92 for further downside. I don't think it'll go all the way to 133.51, but it'll come maybe halfway. So hands off, sit on your hands, wait for it to break either the resistance or the support level. That's what I would do for pound yen on the H4 time frame. Very quickly went through gold, not interesting. Went through US yens, a trade that you might want to jump into, but only if you have no other trades to get into and something you have to manage quite closely. Euro yen has to break that resistance before you could look at a further upside, something that I think will be quite interesting and has quite good upside potential. And then pound yen, hands off it for now. Let the news pass. Let it break a support or a resistance level before you jump into a trade. I hope that made sense to you. Any questions on that so far? I see Sunil asks, around what time today can we expect to hear on the Brexit news? Sunil, we will expect to hear the Brexit news at the time that they release it. I have no idea what time it's going to be. Kim Hong's laughing because he knows we don't know what time it's going to be. And then summaries, US yen seems to be on a pullback move right now. It is hitting the support zone. US yen hitting the support zone. Yeah, it is pulling back. It's bouncing off a support level, interim support level. Makes it a little bit interesting, but I feel that if you cannot manage it closely, it might be a bit of a trap. Okay, Jason, any live Brexit links? I haven't come across any live Brexit links. I think you should just wait for any price release to come out, because if you do catch the live links, you might get caught into the whole emotions of the news being released. And when they talk about Brexit, it is 1 minute they'll say there's a deal, next minute they say no deal, and then say maybe there's a deal, and then say we're walking away. So they'll flip-flop as quickly as anybody else. I would say wait for the official release before you make a decision on whether it's going to be good or bad for the UK. With that said, I'll pass it back to Kenneth.
Thank you so much, Jin. Fantastic session on the gold and yen. So as we are coming close to this session, let me launch this poll. To let us know what do you think about this webinar. So by the way, a recording of this video will be uploaded in this LCMS YouTube channel. So thanks all of you for joining for the session today. So I'll be looking forward for you guys to be coming back tomorrow, where I'll be talking about the cat. So see you guys in the LCMS Traders Club, and also for tomorrow's cat analysis as well.
Bye.
Bye.